Hey there. This is the final part for the 8080 Walker Diorama, thankfully. I did have a great time making this. I loved it because it was such a great learning experience, and it's like solving a puzzle when you get to scratch build and figure everything out as you go, and this was a lot of that for me. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoy it too. I've used some green XPS foam and just put it into picture frame. I used concrete to make my sides for a riverbed and hot glued them down. It was super basic stuff. And then just some watered down acrylic black paint and sprayed it on, and that's the base ready to work on. I've made some holes and put some dowel into the feet of the AT and just wanted to make sure he sat correctly and wasn't too big, and put him aside. I left the dowel in there so I wouldn't lose the holes that I had made, because I didn't want to have to keep trying to place him back on, especially once I had done things to the surface. It'd be hard to penetrate it. First off, I just put some soil down, just soil out of the garden that I put in the oven, kill any bacteria on it and lay it down. It's super sandy, this soil though, so it's really good stuff. Put plenty on just to kind of smooth the base out just a little bit. And then I'm just going to put down some flocking. I almost forgot what it's called then. Put some flocking down. I've just made it out of sawdust mixed with some green and yellow paint to the colour that I wanted. I have jars of this stuff all over my house. I make it in bulk. The glue is done really sporadically. I want it to look natural. I don't want to lay it down like carpet. So when you want things natural, just do them here and there. Let it sort of fall on its own. A nice garnish of the flocking. You could probably do 2 or 3 different colours of flocking on this. It would make it even more natural. I'm going to glue him down now because I need to work around him. I'm using just pins. Well, I did that a lot of times. I just put pins into the feet everywhere and made sure they were concealed and inserted really well and all glued down. And it became quite sturdy. It was a lot stronger and more sturdy than I thought it was going to be. So that was quite a relief for me. Making a log out of XPS foam. Just going to shape it down with a knife and then sand it. And now I'm going to score it so I don't get lines going in the wrong direction. I want them all to be pretty much straight up and down. So just using a knife just to lightly do it. And then after that I can get stuck into it with some toothpicks or a pencil or whatever have you. The knife really is helpful to stop anything veering off, which I find in this very dense foam it happens a lot. Looks quite good. And my favourite bit. Oh yeah. It's not ink, but it's close enough. It's just watered down black and brown acrylic paint just to soak into every little part of it. These are meant to be vines. I tried all sorts of stuff and I found that just using some pieces of this wicker wreath, I use this on a lot of projects, this thing. It's great. It's super strong, flexible, and it looks like branches and trees and yeah, everything. It's wonderful. I just looped them and got a bit of twine that I had soaked in the same brown and black wash, and I glued it down, and then it just let them hang like that, and they look really nice and rough. And make some Ewoks. I thought I'd use some sultanas and some toothpicks and then just draw on a face, and they look terrible. So yeah, I thought I'd better try something else and got some polymer clay. couldn't get out of this one. These little things, it looks like caramel. Delicious. But they took ages to make. They were easy, but they were very time consuming. I just put a ball of polymer clay, baked it, and then a little head on and baked it, and then sort of worked the body around. Weapons out of foam and twine and a toothpick. It's really simple stuff. If you want to see a video on how to make an Ewok, which I'm sure everybody does, let me know and I'll do a quick one. But they're kind of cute, rustic, adorable. Way too big for the diorama, but sue me. I think they're alright. They're a nice quick fix, and they're very animated, so it does something to the diorama. I had initially made water, which I spent 5 days trying to get it to clear up. The lacquer would not go clear. It's just too much humidity, and seemingly it never stops raining in Australia, and I could not get it to go clear. So I had to bite the bullet with this and put more soil down and just make a dry riverbed because I didn't know what else to do. I'm going to put the toes on before I do anything else. I just made them out of a bit of balsa wood, cut kind of like just a simple wedge with a line down the middle for the toe, and then I put pins into each one because I do this with virtually everything. I just want it to be very, very strong, and it's the only way I can really get everything to make sure it never comes apart. I used these, well, they're not pins, they're just the stem of a sparkler because they're nice and straight and cheap. And I just cut little pieces off this and inserted them to make sure the toes never come off. Very, very basic, but they look good, especially when you disguise them with lots of rocks and plants and stuff. I cut the ends off just to make them look as though they're going into the ground, which they aren't, but nobody would know that if I didn't mention it. It's all about the illusion. I'm going to make some rocks out of more XPS foam. I'm just tearing pieces away haphazardly because I want them to look natural. I stuck them in a jar with some actual rocks and I shook them for a while just to kind of soften them and make, rock-like patterns in them. And then I put some more of that black and brown watered down acrylic paint into the jar and kept shaking. The reason I use foam and not actual rocks, there's a few reasons. One is because actual rocks get very, very heavy when you start putting them down. It gets weighty very quick. And also they're all different colours and it may not suit your diorama or whatever you're working on. So making them like this is far easier and far, far lighter. I only did this with them once and I laid them out to dry. I was going to put maybe a bit of a grey dry brush on them or something, but I didn't because I let it soak up, and then they just were the colour that was really suitable for the diorama, and they look like rocks because that peachy kind of colour comes up through and it goes with the brown wash that soaks into it, and it just works in such a natural way. You really can't beat it. It's fantastic and it is so quick and easy. I put them everywhere to disguise bits that I didn't want seen, like the toes, where I'd cut them away. And time for the static grass. I was going to do 2 different colours of the grass, but I got carried away and forgot, and I just laid it down because it's one of those wonderful jobs. Even just watching it, it's a marvellous little thing, this. It's one of the things that you have to do properly and buy the little device, unless you are some sort of wizard who can make one so good that it makes the grass stand up like this. It's fantastic. So realistic. I just love it. And once again, I did it sporadically too. I'm not laying it down like carpeting. just here and there, and yeah, natural. As you can see, it's sort of going down towards the riverbed. It looks good. It looks nice and natural. I've used some, oh God, dementia's going to be a smooth transition for me. I'm forgetting what everything's called. Roots that I found on the side of the road. They were all nice and dry, and I just put them through. Kind of look like branches that have washed up during a flood or something, or bits of dead tree that have fallen through. And I'm going to tie everything down like I do on dioramas with, it's not ink, but I wish it was ink, the brown and black wash again. I want to anchor everything so it all meshes together. I put some more on the rock so you didn't really notice it. This is a very wishy-washy wash. That sounds a bit silly, but it's a lot weaker when it dries than the ink was. So you have to put it on maybe 2 or 3 times, whereas ink will go on once and it will come through and stay much darker when it's dry. You can see as I put it down, it pulls everything together. It stops things standing out so the eye won't pick up on pieces and mistakes. It kind of just makes everything flow together as one piece. It's one of my favourite jobs. Well, there's a lot of favourite jobs. I like doing almost all of it. I just put it into the still wet flocking there in the middle and just kind of meshing everything again together. Putting down the log. I also put flocking and static grass on the log. And I just put a bit of twine that was once again soaked in the same wash and a pin through it to make sure it doesn't ever come off, and wound it round. I put a fair bit of glue on this, and I also put a peg into it. It's a toothpick, but just to ensure once again that it does not come off if it gets bumped. I made a hole in this. I struggled in some places making holes. Once that soil had gone down, it was very difficult. This is some very, very thick glue. I love this glue. I don't know. It's not quite PVA. It's, I don't know, PVA on steroids. I really like it. It makes everything just, yeah. It adheres so beautifully and it dries so well. It's invisible. Now the ferns that I had done in my last video, I really did need them to break up the now dirt-filled riverbed, and I'm going to use them to put them in places to disguise things that I'm not quite happy with, or fill voids, put colour where there is none, and just little things like that. It's kind of almost like flower arranging, just kind of being mindful of where you put them. I could not get this through. It was so hard. If I could have, I would have taken a hammer and a nail to it. I even broke the toothpick trying to insert it, so I had to get a screwdriver to put these in because I could not break through that soil. You could build a house out of this stuff. Just soil, PVA glue and some XPS foam and you've got yourself a brick house. Well, close to brick. More of that lovely glue. I made the hole really, really big so I could get the base right in, not just the toothpick part of this. And the little Ewok, oh, that face. He's got a head like a dropped pie, but he's cute. His little spear was made out of a toothpick and a bit of polymer clay as well. And this little one's just going to be climbing the rope to get up on top of the AT. He's so goofy looking. Oh, and oh yeah, Look at that head. They're very kind of poorly done, but you know, they're an impression of an Ewok. We'll just call it that. I guess they give the story to the diorama though. Yeah, that's it, buddy. You can do it. It went to very cute in a very short period of time. Well, that's that project done. I'm glad it's done, but I enjoyed it. I got a lot out of this. There's a lot of learning things for me, which is why I love to do this sort of thing. I hope you got something out of it too, and I will see you next time.